What is true power? We often believe power is the lightning strike. It is fast, loud, and dramatic. We seek the huge, immediate win. We try a new habit for 3 days, see no results, and quit. We want the mountain to move today. But have you ever stopped to consider what truly shapes the earth? It is not the sudden earthquake. It is the quiet, relentless drip of water. What if the change you desperately seek comes not from the explosion, but from the whisper? This was the frustration that burned in a young man named Rhys. Rhys was a quarryman, and he lived and worked in the shadow of a great, unyielding mountain of granite. More than anything, he wanted to make his mark, to prove his strength against its indifference. And so, he wielded the biggest hammer in the quarry. Its head was a block of iron, so heavy that other men strained just to lift it. But Rhys, fueled by a fierce ambition, would swing it all day long. He would plant his feet, roar with effort, and bring the hammer down against the rock face. The impact would send a shockwave through his bones. Dust would fly. The sound would echo across the valley. He hoped with every single strike for a dramatic sign of his power. A huge slab of rock to break free, a deep crack to appear. But the mountain barely noticed. At the end of the day, his hands would be raw and blistered. His body would ache with a deep, consuming exhaustion. And the mountain would still stand tall, impassive, its silhouette unchanged against the setting sun. Rhys would look at his work and see only failure. Tiny chips of rock, a few new scratches on an ancient surface. His immense effort felt useless. The sheer scale of his goal defeated him before he even truly began. He was burning out, his spirit eroding faster than the stone. The joy of the work was gone, replaced by a bitter anger and a quiet, creeping despair. He had all the force in the world, yet he felt completely powerless. One sweltering afternoon, after a particularly grueling and fruitless morning, Rhys finally broke. With a cry of pure frustration, he threw his massive hammer to the ground. The heavy tool landed with a dull thud in the dust, a monument to his failed efforts. He needed to get away. He walked away from the quarry, away from the silent judgment of the mountain, and headed towards the river that snaked through the valley floor. He knelt by the cool, clear water, splashing his face, trying to wash away the sweat and the frustration. And that is when he noticed her. Sitting on a smooth, gray stone by the riverbank was an old woman. Her name was Alara, and she was a basket weaver. She sat with a serene posture, her back straight, her movements economical and precise. A pile of supple willow branches lay beside her. She was not looking at the mountain, or at the sky, or at Rhys. Her entire world was focused on the single, continuous thread of willow she was expertly weaving into the growing shape of a basket. Her hands, wrinkled with age, moved with a steady, unhurried grace. Beside her, the river flowed on, a quiet and constant presence. It wasn't a raging torrent. It was a calm, persistent stream. And yet, Rhys could see that this gentle river had over countless ages carved a massive, smooth gorge through the very same granite that mocked his every effort. The canyon walls were steep and deep, sculpted by the water's patient journey. Rhys watched her for a moment. Then the frustration he had tried to wash away came bubbling back to the surface. He stood up and approached her, holding out his torn and calloused hands. "Alara," he said, his voice tight with desperation. "Look at my hands. They are raw. I hit the mountain all day with all my strength. I swing the heaviest hammer until my arms feel like they will fall off. And the mountain, it just ignores me. It does not yield. I need more power, a bigger hammer, a stronger arm. How can I make it move? Elara finished, weaving a strand, her eyes never leaving her work. She did not look at his hands, nor at his discarded hammer back in the distance. Instead, she tilted her head slightly, her gaze directed towards the water. "Do you see the river, Rhys?" she asked, her voice as calm as the water itself. "Does it yell? Does it strike with force?" Rhys scoffed. He looked at the gentle current. "No," he said, "it is weak. It just flows. It does nothing." Elara slowly nodded, a faint smile on her lips. She finally looked up from her basket and met his gaze. Her eyes were as deep and clear as the river water. "The mountain has laughed at earthquakes, Rhys. It has shrugged off the fiercest winter storms. It has stood for 1,000 years against the most violent forces of nature. But look down," she gestured with her chin towards the canyon floor. Rhys looked. He saw the sheer, polished walls of the gorge. He saw the deep, winding channel that the river had patiently etched into the heart of the stone. The weak river had accomplished what no single, violent event ever could. It had not broken the mountain, it had reshaped it. Elara then picked up another strand of willow. It was thin, pliable, and seemingly fragile. She held it up for him to see. "Your hammer wants the mountain to change today," she said softly. "It demands an immediate result. It pours all of its energy into one single, explosive moment. But the river knows a deeper secret. It knows that greatness is built, drop by drop, moment by moment. The river does not try to move the mountain all at once. It chooses a path, and it keeps flowing, today, tomorrow, for 1,000 years. Each drop of water is weak, but together, in a continuous stream, their power becomes absolute." She began to weave the new thread into her basket, her fingers moving with that same steady rhythm. "It is not the strength of the hammer that matters, Rhys. It is the weakness of the thread, when it is woven again and again, day after day. Persistence is not a dramatic strike. Persistence is a continuous stream. It is the quiet promise to show up tomorrow and the day after that. That is the power that carves stone. That is the power that can move mountains." And in that moment, something shifted inside Rhys. It felt like a bolt of lightning, but a quiet one, a silent thunderclap in his soul. His gaze drifted from the immense, silent hammer lying uselessly in the dust, to the quiet, ceaseless flow of the river carving its path, to the delicate, strong basket taking shape in Elara's hands. He had it all wrong. He had been worshipping the explosion while ignoring the power of the current. His failures were not due to a lack of effort, but a lack of continuity. He understood with a clarity that washed over him like the river's cool water, that the tiny daily effort, the seemingly insignificant chip of the chisel, repeated with unwavering consistency, possessed a cumulative power that no single act of brute force could ever hope to match. The anger in his chest dissolved. The burning frustration was replaced by a profound and lasting peace. The story does not end at the river. The final scene takes place back at the quarry the next morning. Rhys walked back to the rock face, his steps lighter than they had been in years. He walked right past his massive hammer. He did not even look at it. Instead, he picked up a small chisel and a light mallet. He placed the sharp tip of the chisel against the granite, took a calm breath, and began to work. Chip, a small sound, a tiny piece of stone fell away. Chip, another chip, chip, chip. He was not swinging for the fences. He was not roaring with effort. He was setting a rhythm, a steady, metronome-like beat. He was not exhausted. He was focused. He was not angry. He was calm. The change he was making was almost invisible. But the sound of his small, steady work was somehow louder, more powerful, and more full of promise than the deafening, violent strike of the big hammer ever was. He was no longer fighting the mountain. He was becoming the river. The moral of this story is that great change is never instantaneous. It is achieved through unwavering consistency. The quiet, gentle, and relentless effort of the stream will always overcome the mountain more effectively than the sudden, dramatic force of the hammer. True power isn't in the single, heroic act, but in the humble, repeated effort. It's in the choice to show up day after day and simply keep flowing. Thanks for watching. If this story resonated with you, consider subscribing for more.